Hey, it's Steph. Thanks for watching today's video. I have a very exciting update for my No Pan Left Behind challenge. I challenged myself this year to use every single one of my eyeshadows. So in the panning world, that is called No Pan Left Behind because you do not leave any pans of eyeshadow untouched. I did share an update at the end of quarter 1. I was like at the end of March or early April, and now it is the beginning of July, and so I do have my numbers as of the end of June. I will only be talking about the eyeshadows that I've used the last 3 months, so April, May, June, and I am very excited to share my numbers, and I do have a percentage of eyeshadows that I've used in my collection as well. I have my computer right in front of me because it's just easier to keep track. I do have the physical palettes to show you, but also a screenshot of my No Pan Left Behind spreadsheet that will show you what eyeshadows I have used or not. If you're not familiar with my channel, I do mostly panning content, which means I am actively working through my makeup and beauty collections, trying to get used to what I already have. I am on my second Nomad year in a row, and challenges like this just help me be really intentional about the makeup that I have, and it helps me kind of pair different palettes together. Maybe I only have one more eyeshadow to use in a palette and I can pair it with another eyeshadow palette. You should definitely follow me on Instagram. I post my daily looks on there and I show what eyeshadows I use in those looks. So it is kind of fun to see what palettes I can pair together. If you're not subscribed, I hope you do so before you leave. And of course, give this video a thumbs up. I'm pretty sure these are in alphabetical order. Hopefully. And I have all of these eyeshadows here next to me on my couch, so forgive me if I'm just like rustling through the pile because they're not in order of what I'm talking about. So I do have these color coded for each month because we are talking about 3 months at a time. So let me put a little like code, like a key code on the screen now. The blue will be April, the light purple is May, and the more like pinky purple is June. Also, I did like a heatless curls thing overnight with my robe tie. I did it like the unicorn method where it goes straight back down your head. I really like how it turned out. I think it's cute. Okay. So for my very first palette, it's my Ace Beauté Violet Sage palette. I did have some use on this at the last update for quarter 1, but I was able to finish my No Pan Left Behind. This is the palette. I basically just had the colorful shades left to use, like the greens and the purples. I actually completed No Pan Left Behind on this today because I only had 2 more eyeshadows to use. And if you can guess, I'm using the 2 purples today. So I really enjoy this palette. I have 3 pans in it. Yeah, I really like this palette. I'm very happy to have completed my No Pan Left Behind. The next palette is actually new to me since the last update. I did get this as a gift for Mother's Day. I got the Flower Nose Strawberry Rococo palette. This packaging is so stinking beautiful. And this is what it looks like on the inside. Very reflective, so I apologize. But this was super easy to complete No Pan Left Behind with. I used all of the shades in one look. Oh my gosh, it's so reflective. There we go. These shimmers have like no base color to them. So I'm glad I know that now. The look that I created was very like ethereal and like light. I really, really enjoyed it, but I got that one knocked out pretty quick. Next is my Alter Ego Sakura palette. I did have this in a project for No Pan Left Behind, which is super helpful. And I did complete No Pan Left Behind in the month of April. This is a beautiful neutral cool palette with some pops of greens. I really enjoy using this, and I hope I can bring it out again I tend to kind of neglect palettes that aren't in projects, and I do consider No Pan Left Behind kind of like a greater, like a big project, so hopefully I can give some love to these palettes that I have completed, but that is done. Next is my Aether Beauty Rose Quartz palette. I also completed No Pan Left Behind in this in April. I had this shade here in my Pan Those Eyeshadows project for, like, it's the Expand Those Pans project, which is a project created by Dora where you use eyeshadows that already have pan and you try to expand the pan. So I like to kind of try to complete No Pan Left Behind when I have like one specific shadow in a project, and I was able to do that for this one. It's a beautiful everyday palette. I currently have my Beauty Bay Metamorphic palette in my Pan Those Eyeshadows, but don't worry, there's no spoilers here because I have not hit any goals. But this one's a little complicated to talk about. I did use one of these shades in February. Sorry, it's so reflective. Why do they do this? Why do brands do this? I used this guy in February. This was a brow shade for me. But in June of this year, I have used 6 of these eyeshadows. This is the shadow that is currently in my Pan Those Eyeshadows project. So I'm hoping to complete No Pan Left Behind this month in June. It'll definitely be completed by the next update. I love this. It's Cool 10 palette. Of course I love it. But it is like staying in this project. Next is my Catrice collab with Winnie the Pooh. It's the Friends Lift Each Other Up palette. This is very adorable but awkward packaging. And I did have 2 shades in my Pan Those Eyeshadows. So I had this out and I was able to hit pan in the lid setting shade and my brow shade here. But in May, I completed No Pan Left Behind. I basically used this for 2 looks. I did a very neutral look and like a purple pink look. I'm very disappointed in the shimmers in this palette. It's more like the satin. They're like, just some of these shimmers have absolutely no impact, and I have to cover them with other shimmers anyway, so they're basically pointless in this palette, but I did complete No Pan Left Behind. The next few palettes are going to be from ColourPop. Oh, that's weird. It did not, it skipped one. I thought they were in alphabetical order, but it did skip my Bella Beauté Bar Smoky Glam palette. This is also very reflective. Why do they do this? So I currently have a shade from here in my Expand Those Pans project. This one right here. So I have been able to use 7 eyeshadows from this palette just because I've had it out. This is a palette that I can really wear any time of year. I like to wear my palettes seasonally. So if there's like a bright colorful palette, I want to wear it right now in the summer. So I might put this away once I meet my Expand Those Pans goal. Spoiler, I did. So you might not see this again until maybe the end of the year update. Yeah, we'll see. Again, I can wear this anytime. So if I do need to pull an eyeshadow from here to complete a look, I absolutely will. But I've only used 7 eyeshadows from that so far. Why? Okay. This is like, I don't know why, but it has put this Lavish palette in front of some other ColourPop palettes, but I'm just going to go with it because I want to follow the order so I don't skip anything. So the next palette is from ColourPop. It is the Lavish palette, and I was able to complete No Pan Left Behind in this. You can see 2 of the eyeshadows were purple, so that was from May, and then the rest were blue, which was completed in April. So I did have this shadow here in Pan Those Eyeshadows, and that's why I was able to complete No Pan Left Behind. The next two palettes are from my Bambi collab for ColourPop. The first one we'll talk about is Flower. No, this is not the one I'm currently working on. So I actually randomized this palette in my random generator selects my makeup video. So I created a look with this and I just used all 5 shades, so that was super easy to complete No Pan Left Behind. And then I currently have a shade in this palette, the Thumper palette, in Pan Those Eyeshadows, and I am trying so hard to hit pan in this shadow. I've been filming it and putting it on my stories because I'm just like, I want to catch a live pan. They are so fun, but I'm like, I'm going to keep filming it, but I'm going to stop posting it on my stories until I actually hit pan. But this dip is so deep. I'm really trying to hit pan before my Pan Those Eyeshadows update. I'm filming this July 2nd. I'm gonna try to create one more look with this. If I don't hit pan, then I'll film my update, but I do have this all over my lid today. Long story short, I've reached No Pan Left Behind. That's the whole point of this video. Next is another ColourPop palette. This is the Of Quartz palette, and I did complete most of these in March, but I was able to use the last 2 shades in here in, let's see, June, this past month. This shadow is missing because it is my current brow shade in my Pan Those Eyeshadows, so I don't want to give any spoilers. I have not hit pan yet, but I have a really good dip. I guess there's your spoiler. I did have this shade in Pan Those Eyeshadows as well for my brow shade to hit pan, so I'm really happy that this palette is getting a little more love because I really enjoyed this one. Next is my ColourPop Winnie the Pooh collab Sweet As Can Be. I used most of these shadows in March, but I did have a few to complete in April, and I did so. As you can see, I have pulled some out. Well, I actually scraped them out because they were just not serving me. I did not want them. They were the mattes with glitter in them, and they were also just too warm. I did refrain. I could have scraped these 2 out. I was like, maybe one day I will need them. I don't know why I would need them. I actually have used those for like a scarecrow Halloween costume makeup before, so I'll probably use them again this year because I'm boring like that. But I did complete No Pan Left Behind in this, including the ones that I did scrape out. So I didn't cheat. Next is my ColourPop the Mandalorian palette, and I only have one more shade to share, and it's not even in this palette. It's because this is the shade that's in my Pan Those Eyeshadows, and because these are magnetic, I pulled this shadow out and put it in my little Z palette that it has my brow shade and my lid setting shade, and I was working on a single in a different project, so I just pulled it out. I should not have done that because I could have completed No Pan Left Behind in this if I had the full palette in my panning drawer. But honestly, this is very like wintry, color story, fall for sure. So it's really not the time of year for me to use this when I think about it seasonally. So I don't think you'll see this in my summer update, like my Q3 update. You'll be probably seeing this in the last update of the year. But I really enjoy that palette, so it won't be hard to complete No Pan Left Behind. Another ColourPop palette, it's my Wild Nothing palette, and I have decluttered a few eyeshadows from this a while ago. I haven't had them for a long time, and I have used 4 of these shades in May. I mean, they're really pretty. They're very basic. Like, I don't know if I'm going to keep this palette. I might pull out some of these shimmers, but these mattes are so basic. I don't know if it's worth keeping this whole 12 pan palette, but it's very cute. It's very cute. But I do have 4 more shades. Yeah, 4 more shades to use on this one. The next palette I actually don't have. I've decluttered this palette, but I did complete No Pan Left Behind with it. I will have a screenshot of it just so you can see the palette, but it is my Cosmic Beauty Winter Wonderland palette. I decluttered this to Kay, my friend, Makeup Lens. I actually haven't sent it to her. I really need to do that. Sorry, Kay. But I did complete No Pan Left Behind in this for a prompt in a project back in April. It is July. I should have sent this to her already. The next palette is my Juvias Place Garden of Juvias palette. This has kind of been all over the place, but I only had 4 more shadows to complete, and I did do that in May. This is a beautiful, very spring color story for me, so it makes sense that I completed it in May during the springtime. Beautiful palette. Next, I had pulled out my Kidos Lunar Lavender palette. I only had 2 more shades to complete, so I did that in June, and I just used the 2 brown shades here on the ends. These were surprisingly cool toned for me, and I really enjoyed them. I used to say I didn't really understand why they were in this palette with like purples, but it kind of makes sense now, and I'm happy to have completed No Pan Left Behind. Next is kind of silly. I used 1 more shade from my Lorac Pro Noir palette. I had already used like half, maybe a little under half of this palette, but I did use this 3rd shade, Random. I think I was like, oh, I could complete this easy. Let me pull it out and use one. And then I decided that it's so neutral that I could use it any time of year. So I started focusing on like my more colorful eyeshadows. So I think that's why I just have this random 1 shade that I used in April. Next is another completed eyeshadow palette, and it is my Monae Palette from Millefee. I don't know how to pronounce that. I think it's correct. But this is Woman with a Parasol, and this is just a really small, like 6-pan palette, so I just created 1 look with it. These are very like unimpressive to me, but the packaging is so beautiful, and I love art. If you're not familiar with my channel, I have a high appreciation for fine art, and I'm an artist as well, so I just love this. Next is my Odin's Eye Flora story. I also completed my No Pan Left Behind. I only had 4 more eyeshadows to use, and I completed that this month, or last month in June. I love this palette. I just think it's so beautiful. Next is a surprising one, actually. I don't know why I did not expect to complete this so early in the year. Maybe it seems like a winter palette for me. I don't know. But I did complete No Pan Left Behind for my Profusion Athereal Palette. This was in a project for No Pan Left Behind, so that's why I was able to do that. But most of these were completed in May, but I did have 1 in April and then 3 to finish it off in June. I used to want to declutter this. I have offered this to so many people. I guess it just wasn't meant to be because I still have it, and I really enjoyed all of the looks that I created with it. So I'm actually glad I have this. Next is another little mini palette. This is from Profusion. This is adorable. It's the Taro Milk Tea palette, and I was able to complete this in June. I created 2 looks with this. This shade here I used with some other eyeshadows, and then I created a look with these other 5 ones. So that was super easy to complete No Pan Left Behind. Next is another palette that I want to declutter. It's my Sigma Hazy palette. It's just so unimpressive. I might try to depot it because there's just some shadows in here that I just don't like. Specifically Bellflower, this one. It's kind of like a satin, but it's really dark for my taste. And I just have to like cover it with something else. I just don't like it. Anyway, I was able to hit my No Pan Left Behind goal with this, and this is completed. Next, I was almost done with my Unearthly Dreamer at the last update. I had used like, what was it, 9 shadows in February, but I did use the remaining 3 in April. Some of these eyeshadows I'm like, I completed in April. Like, that was so long ago. It is now July, but another beautiful indie eyeshadow palette in my collection. I really enjoy this one. I only have a few more to talk about. The next one is my Vizart Violet Vespertine palette, and I just completed No Pan Left Behind in this in June. I was like, why is it black? This is my, oh, this is a spoiler. It's not a spoiler if you follow me on Instagram. I do real-time updates on Instagram for my Pan Those eyeshadows when it comes to my lid setting shades. So I recently started working on this shade for my lid. And so it's in my magnetic palette that I was referring to earlier, but I did complete No Pan Left Behind in this beautiful neutral palette. Next is my Sydney Grace and Tentalia collab on the horizon. This is the light version. I never talk about that, but this is the light version. And I have completed No Pan Left Behind in this. I currently have this shade in my Pan Those eyeshadow, so it's been out in my panning drawer for quite some time. I had like half of it left to complete after last No Pan Left Behind's update, and I was able to do that. I really enjoy this. I'm so glad someone decluttered this to me because this is my only Sydney Grace palette. I have some singles from them. I have like 20 something singles from them, and I really enjoy this palette. Shockingly, I enjoy this warm red, or I figured out a way to use it at least. Second to last is another newer palette to me, my Simply Posh Snow Angel. Gorgeous, gorgeous, cool tone muted palette. This is a very Stephanie palette, and I was able to complete this. It looks like it was kind of spread. I used some in April, some in May, and some in June. I did have this in a project for No Pan Left Behind. I think it was my Panoply project. Pan. Gorgeous. I loved all of the looks that I created. This is very like everyday, not super like in your face, which is my kind of look if you are not familiar with what I enjoy. So this is beautiful. And then the very last palette is actually from, this should have been like way before my Sigma. This is Nomad. What is my computer doing? I don't know. Anyway, this should have been talked about before and I didn't even realize it, but this is my Nomad Shamony après-ski palette. Hopefully I said that correctly. This was actually gifted to me from Nomad via their Starfish program, which I am just so grateful for. And this is what it looks like. I did a collab with my friend Sarah, and we did like a palette bingo style video and created a look with the same 5 eyeshadows. So I've only used those 5 shadows. Wow, it's like not showing up very well. So yeah, I've only used those 5. This is a very wintry, as you can imagine, a very wintry color story for me. But I could probably complete this before summer ends it's definitely not a full color story. I'm trying to think. I could use like these greens during like the holiday season. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what I do. But that's it. How many palettes did I use here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I talked about 28 palettes, and I do have some data here. At the last update, I had used 211 out of my 657 eyeshadows, and that was a percentage of 32.11%. So I was well ahead of my goal. If I was right at my goal at the quarter of the year, it would have been 25%. So I was well over that. The last 3 months, so April, May, and June, I guess I'll break it up for you. So in April, I used 47 eyeshadows. In May, I used 78 eyeshadows. And in June, I used 64 eyeshadows. Those numbers do not count eyeshadows that I had already used previously. Like, for instance, eyeshadows that are in my Panos eyeshadows. I use this multiple times a month. These numbers are only the eyeshadows that I had not used previously and that I use like no pan left behind style. So that is a total of 189 eyeshadows in the last 3 months. A little under the 211 from quarter 1, but if I combine 211 with 189, I have used 400 eyeshadows so far this year, or I've touched 400 eyeshadows, I should say, and I have increased the number of eyeshadows that I have since the last update. Like I said, I got that Nomad palette for free, I got the Flower Nose palette, I got that Simply Posh palette, so I have added some things, and I currently have 671 eyeshadows in my collection. So if I figure out the percentage, 400 out of 671, that is 59.61%. So even though I've added some eyeshadows, I'm still over my goal of being 50% done at halfway point of the year. So I'm very happy with that. I wish I had figured out how many palettes I have completed No Pan Left Behind, because some of these still are like only partway used, but to be honest, my battery is almost dead and I don't want to take the time right now, so I'm going to put it on the screen. I really like that Laura Force included that number in her updates, so I'm very curious on that as well. But you can hear my voice. My throat is getting really dry. I need something to drink. That's a lot of talking. If you enjoyed, give this video a thumbs up. Of course, if you're not subscribed, I hope you do so before you leave. And I will see you all in my next one. Bye.